Welcome to the DGTL Growth Podcast, where marketing leaders turn real wins and challenges into successes and growth. I'm Suse Barnes. Today we're talking with Kelly Kassian, Senior Director of Sales and Marketing at Backyard Pod. Kelly, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Cool. How is Austin, Texas today?
I love the city. It's infectious. You walk around and the amount of, just entrepreneurs that you meet, you've got just driverless cars and now these drones flying around. Like it's infectious, really, with just kind of the entrepreneur spirit.
I bet it feels somewhat similar to San Francisco in that respect.
I could imagine.
Tell us about Backyard Pod. And admittedly, before I knew more about the name, I thought it was about podcasts. When I went to investigate further, I was like, oh, this is so cool. I love the idea, the tiny offices or tiny houses that are used for possibly Airbnb. But let's have you explain more about it and what you do and your vision for the company.
Yeah, it's a very cool industry. We're in this niche where it's in your backyard. Right. So a lot of our clients, we started during COVID where, working from home. So needing that office space or gym. So we were just, I remember coming on and when I had started, the founder, Pavel, originally had said, okay, like aim for 4 a month to sell. Right. And came in and sold 20. And then the next month we sold 25, and he was like, okay, I'm going to quit my job and there's a real need here. And that was kind of our original kind of scope of the company were these offices and gyms. And then it very quickly turned into all of these clients asking for bathrooms in the pod because they either wanted to rent it out or they wanted space for their parents rather than a retirement home. It was like, well, hey, let's utilize the space we have. It's going to be an asset. It'll eventually pay for itself. And then we can have our parents close by. So it's been really fun. That's been kind of the focus. We're going on year 5. We've built about 350 pods in Austin. And then we've expanded into some glamping developments as well that we have built. So we've got one in Wimberley called the Cedars Ranch, where we've even built some domes. We've got some 2-story pods. So it's really just exploded from there. And we've been really just kind of fortunate to be in a city that's just been so receptive of backyard pod.
Glamping sounds awesome. And that's my kind of camping. I did do one recently in Sequoia. Do you know where Sequoia is? Redwood in California. Yeah, it was just so nice to have a real roof to stay under in nature. It was sort of a best of both worlds, which I felt was super fun instead of, a tent, which is a little bit more rustic.
100%. Yeah. I was like, you know what? Camping's not for me, but glamping. They've even gone a step further and calling them nature hotels because these things are just fully insulated and glass walk-in showers. It's kind of ridiculous and amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think is working well for Backyard Pod?
I would say that originally it was very much word of mouth and just fully relying on that. The interest rates were low at the time. A lot of people were cash out refi to pay for these. As it's gone on, finding cash has been harder. So we've noticed that we've had to put more into our marketing efforts, specifically digital advertising. So we've kind of put more focus there, between Meta, Google, and then just having a strong Instagram presence even and social media. So that has been working well. And just having good partnerships and pouring into those. We have always loved working with Lowe's, and now we officially have a partnership with them. So that's been a blessing as well.
Yeah, curious about that. How did you land that partnership? That sounds awesome.
Yeah, so we have been working with one specifically in South Austin, and that's where we're purchasing all of our materials from. They most of the time, kind of pros or people buying from them are kind of general contractors that typically don't have a large team. So they're not buying as much as we are. So we've been their number one purchaser. And we were that, for a couple of years. And we were talking to them about how we needed a place for a showroom because we wanted to show clients. And, we are currently operating out of a warehouse. We wanted to put this somewhere. So then that kind of snowballed into a conversation. And we were able to have one at their South location, an office that we work from. It's heating and cooling, like it's fully hooked up. And then all of a sudden, it started these conversations in Lowe's and these other stores saying, well, what is this? And we want one. And I'll never forget, there was a day where it was a total eclipse here. So it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon and it was pitch black. And I went outside of the pod to take a little video because I was at the showroom. And I turn around and there was like 12 Lowe's execs walking up to the pod. And we're talking from all over the country. And I was like, ooh, okay, what's going on? No heads up, nothing. Start speaking with them. They wanted to check out the pod. I started, telling them this is how much we're purchasing from the store. This is our goal. The goal is to franchise. We just want to make sure that we're doing it in a smart way. And one guy turns around and says, well, I'm the one you need to speak with about that. And in speaking with him, another Lowe's associate just said, you just bypassed like 6 other people you had to talk to with that connection. So that just kind of speed rolled into, hey, we're partnered with you now, offering it with them. They're kind of working with us to go national with it. Again, we just want to make sure that our ducks in a row and we're growing in a smart way. So taking our time. So kind of we'll be Texas first and then outside of there.
So a right place, right time kind of moment for you.
Everything aligned. The eclipse aligned. I don't know if that's a thing, but it definitely was for us that day.
Yeah, the eclipse was a big one, and everybody I knew was going to Austin, and I felt kind of left out that I wasn't going.
Yeah, it was, I couldn't believe you'd hear about it or different things, but it was pitch black. And then the craziest thing too, you'd hear all of these birds and animals all of a sudden, like just cooing and yipping or whatever it is that they do. But at 2 p.m., like it was wild.
Wow, amazing. And you mentioned the digital ads, and you mentioned a few platforms. Which ones are working best for you? And do you have any ideas why?
Yeah, that space is ever changing as well. Remember, again, initially it was referrals, and then we were always pretty avid on our Instagram specifically. And I remember the odd time we'd boost a post, and the week that you throw $100 that week, and you would get 20 legit leads. Nowadays, not even like that, just wouldn't even
Mhm.
touch anything. $150 on there. So now obviously a lot more spend and testing that, right? When you're doing meta, as a lot of people know, you can do whether you're doing lead forms or you're directing them to the website, right? And testing that.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, well, which one is the lead? Because initially lead forms, the quantity is huge, but then the quality isn't as hot as people that you're directing to the website, filling out a lead form, and then they're coming to you a little bit more interested. So you're kind of playing that game of, okay, well, do we need more top of funnel? Is it still top, slightly more warm? And where are you putting your ad spend? And then there's Google, right? And that one also tends to be slightly warmer than Meta just because people are Googling it. But then you're looking at your target market, right? Who's buying pods? Where are they? Are they still on Instagram and Facebook, or are they Google, And it's funny how that's evolved. And it's like, actually, a lot of them are on Facebook. We've even had some of our older clients on TikTok, which totally threw me for a loop. I would say our strongest driver right now is Meta still. I would say
Mhm.
Meta is number one, Google is number two. And then we're getting leads from referrals as well as Lowe's.
Mhm. Great. I have heard just TikTok people say there are older people there, so you're not the only one.
Yeah, yeah.
How many people do you have on your team working with you, Kelly?
Yeah. So our Austin location, we've got, because we also have, our operations side, we have an in-house drafters and design team, which helps expedites a lot of that process. But, I in my mind still small. We're operating between that kind of 12 to 15 people total
Mhm.
right now. And then
Yeah.
the biggest thing will be once we kind of grow into that franchise piece, that will kind of change. We'll move Austin into a franchise location itself. Kind of myself and the owner have a franchise headquarters team and go from there.
Great. And is this an industry that's new for you? What kind of experience did you have before coming on to Backyard Pod?
Yeah, it's been a fun just kind of past experience and ending up in, really the construction world wasn't what I was expecting coming out of university. I actually oversaw, it's at the time the largest salon and spa as a standalone in North America. And it's up where I'm from, this town called Sherwood Park in Alberta in Canada, actually.
Well,
Yeah, and so it was 60 women, that I just kind of was thrown in this position to oversee and, just run everything operations and marketing on that end. So at the end of the few years of that, I was a little burnt out from running a team and handling a team. Had a good mentor at the time that told me just get that sales experience is what you're missing. And, 1 year of sales experience will have a very different conversation. Thought I was going to absolutely hate sales. Went into a full hunter, start to close role, and I loved it. I was like, sales is for me. This is where I'm meant to be. I love people. And
uh,
believed in the product at the time. And then I was on LinkedIn actually, and it was COVID in Canada, and I saw a beautiful backyard office and saw that they were hiring. And so we virtually had a call, and he's like, "You have no construction experience, but everything else was aligned, and it's not like you can't learn." And we just hit it off from there, and then that's been it. So, learning curve in the sense of trying to I was like, what is a pier and beam foundation and this, R level insulation and all this stuff, but getting out there
mhm.
with the guys, seeing them being built. There's a great book called Construction for Dummies, and here we are.
Wow, it seems like an odd one to hear about it. You hear about all the tech ones. Construction, wow, that's
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah.
And a great story too. Wow. Sounds like you've had a wild ride and also again, right time, connection with Pavel there.
Yes. Yeah, definitely luckily, just kinda seeing past the not having that experience, but just knowing when you kinda
Mhm.
click with someone and you have the both the same kind of vision for the company that you can align with was just thankful for him on that, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. What innovations are you excited about for the company?
Yes, so definitely, I mean, the growth aspect being that franchise piece. We are very involved with keeping up to date in the innovations in this world because that's definitely going to be and continually be the next thing. I know there's a lot of companies out there that, 3D printing is something that's happening, right? I know there's that Boxable has been one that kind of started around the time we did. I don't think they've built anything yet, so I'm curious to see if they're still in the funding phase or what's going on with that. And then just anything prefab. We are very interested in that world. I've gone to China to kind of even just check that out years ago, just because they had some innovations with that. Still haven't been quite happy with the quality of prefabrication options just yet, just because, I know in Texas, right, the heat, and I know in other places the cold and all sorts of things, right? So we're building on site currently. The reason why that we're kind of in that cool niche is we have our designs that we have the materials for, and with that partnership with Lowe's, right, can get a discounted rate. And we have that in-house drafting team. So it can be less than a GC, but because we're building on site, you can still customize. So it's this kind of curious thing, but we're definitely that is on kind of plan for the future to potentially have something, some sort of shippable product,
Mm,
would be kind of the other option that we could do, and we could even ship it through Lowe's.
wow. How long does it usually take to build one
Yeah, so
once somebody purchases?
yeah, we always like to, what's this? Over no, I always confuse them. Under promise, over deliver. That's what it is. I don't
Yeah, there
wanna
you go.
say don't wanna go the other way.
You got it.
So with that, ones without a bathroom, we say 4 to 8 weeks. It's definitely closer to that, like, 4 to 6 week side. It's just things with weather, if we're waiting on the city for the electrical portion, that sort of thing. And then ones with a bathroom, it's that kinda 3 to 5 months. And, we're hooking up the plumbing, taking care of the water and electrical hookups, and it's turnkey and ready to be moved in, and we handle everything for the client so they don't have to.
Wow, sounds amazing. What shifts are you seeing in sales and marketing right now?
Yeah. The big one is financing. People wanting and struggling with finding money. Again, before in the past, it was kind of like cash out refi. So the sales team getting really well versed in finding financing options for people because it's a real conversation and being comfortable having those conversations. So whether it's with us or anyone else in industries where the price tag's a little bit higher, but it's not, you're kind of in that niche where they're not super wealthy where they're not worried about it, but then also can still afford it, but need to figure out a way to afford it. So being comfortable asking, for us, it's how long have you been in your home? Have you done, this type of loan before? And if you have, okay, then maybe a home improvement loan, and then getting them in contact with the person at Frost Bank is who we have. So that's been a shift. Kind of with that prior, I would say 2 years ago, it was very lifestyle focused. This is going to be great for your parents and picture this and this is amazing. Where now it's more like, okay, let's be real. Like, how are you planning on paying for this? Do you want to chat? We have a contact if you need it. And also being more ROI focused. So this is a smart investment. This is why. Okay, are you going to renovate your home or are you going to do this? Here's the pros and cons for both. What's best for you? And just being very authentic with that, not just saying, just build a pod. It's better for you because X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, let's look. Maybe a home reno is better for you and let's talk about it. And that's okay. And just kind of, I view it as don't want to, and communicate to this team. I don't want, there's no point in selling something to somebody who doesn't need it. It's not going to help them. It's not good
Mhm.
for anybody. They're just going to be upset during the whole time. They're not going to, where if you have a situation where like, hey, you know what? I don't think this is right for you. You never know. You always end up getting referrals from that person. So it's like, even if it's not them, it could be somebody else. So that's what we try to communicate. And then marketing space, similar thing. The messaging has changed to being an ROI and an investment.
Mhm. Yeah. I just saw a LinkedIn post about that. It was a video that I liked.
Okay. Was it a backyard pod video or a different video?
No, it was a backyard pod one on the LinkedIn page, I think. So it was somebody saying, "Oh, it's turned into an investment and it's working really well for
Yes,
us."
I know who you're talking about. She is a lovely client. Yes, because she just rented it out. We had F1 here in Austin a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah, so she had some guest stay. It was a beautiful backyard. That was a very, very cool one.
Yeah, it looked awesome. It was I was envious. What's frustrating in terms of business for you right now? What's the challenge?
I would say it feels like everyone is waiting for the economy.
Mm. Yes.
I haven't felt it so much in my career as I do right now. And I know it's just us, speaking to people in other industries saying the same thing. Like whether it's from owner of a gym to an esthetician like everyone is just kind of saying these bigger packages, or if it's a, longer commitment, just people aren't quite parting with their money. So I think, whether it's they're waiting for interest rates to drop or something, I noticed that. So that's kind of why we've had this shift. I think just in general, you kind of feel it from everybody and everyone's kind of saving their pennies a little bit more. So I know that, if we kind of just hang on and, continue doing what we're doing well. It's kind of our core values. Part of them is just do the right thing and do things right. So yeah, and just being kind of thankful that we have our clients, we have these referrals, and it'll change, right? Like something, can't give you an exact date. We're all fingers crossed for even just the new year and just kind of
Mhm.
plugging away, refining our processes for the meantime, refining our marketing so that we can just kind of, the goal would be that next year just continue to just have a big growth year.
Yeah, sounds good. Have you seen any shift in focus with the onset of AI?
Ooh. Yeah, that's been an interesting one. The owner and I both are very tech focused people. And so, even with AI coming on, and this was, I would say, a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, just with ChatGPT initially coming into the space and us just very much even saying to the team, hey, you need to just utilize this somehow. We don't care if it cuts down what you're doing in half and now you have nothing to do, but if you're getting it done, you need to get ahead of this. And if you don't, you'll be irrelevant in 6 months. And so since then, it's just exponentially taken off. I would say, obviously, construction side, the actual building of the pod, not yet in that sense, but our internal processes and documentation and, you know, client communication, like just being able to utilize AI has been massive. There's a few that are my favorite, and even just for creating slide decks and things like that. Like it's been game changing. We've been able to accelerate just mostly on the admin side and you can utilize it with digital marketing. I just straight up now like screenshot even kind of built it, have had it going, have learned how to operate it. It's been running, but now send in some screenshots, throw it in. Okay, this is what's currently, our pipeline on the lead side, our KPIs for sales. What do we need to tweak for this that you can see? Putting in the appropriate prompt of act as an expert in this digital marketing space, evaluate what should we tweak, where should we make these ad spend adjustments. Give me it, and it just knocks it out, and it's amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, sure. Where do you want to be in 6 to 12 months from now with Backyard Pod?
6 to 12 months. I would say I like having that 6-month buffer because the goal will be another just fully operating location. We have already began in Houston. We have a glamping development that's close by to Houston. It's called The Vine. So it's another one that we're creating that kind of makes that market interesting. But also Dallas would be kind of another one on our horizon. And then looking outside of Texas, that'll be after the post 12-month mark. Again, we're a big believer in doing things right and efficiently
Hmm.
prior to scaling.
Yeah, I love what you were saying earlier, doing things right and doing the right thing.
Yes.
I hadn't really thought about those being slightly different, but there is a nuance there, right?
Yes. Appreciate that because yeah, most people are like, well, you guys are, what is wrong with you? It doesn't make sense. But I promise it does.
Yeah. If you could solve one major challenge today, what would it be?
Within the business.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. If I could solve one major challenge today, what would it be? I would say being able to cut back on overhead.
Mm.
That would be what I solved today. We currently overhead is a little bit heavy than it would need to be. So we are evaluating that as a team because it's construction. I mean, that's just gonna be kind of part of it. So we would love to be able to kind of come up with a way or an idea outside of the box that we could cut back on that.
And is there such a thing as a dream client?
Yeah. We have so many different spaces, right? I would say because we're very capable, we haven't done one yet. What I would love someone to see, because I think it would be such a cool and a smart investment, would be create a WeWork space using pods. So if you have land and you can have a bunch of these office pods, and whether they had a bathroom in an office or you had like a communal or community bathroom, you could even have like a community conference room, but you plop some of these pods and then you rent them out. And then even at night, if it flipped into kind of like an event space, if you kind of had a cool hangout of some food trucks and whatever, that would be very cool. I would love to see somebody do that.
Yeah, for sure. This sounds like lots of opportunity there. If you could schedule it so that you could have office hours and then flip it over to a hotel-like situation at a certain point in time. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just depends on location for
Would be
sure.
very cool. And even this idea of kind of exploded apartments, would be
Hmm.
awesome. Like we've got our 2-story tiny homes, where, you have a piece of land, subdivide it, but you have like a little yard with these tiny homes, a little community garden or something, would be very cool.
Yeah. What is the range of, from a smallest one to a largest one? What's the range in price there?
Okay, price. Yes. So we have
Oh,
anything from
size.
yeah, yeah. I mean our ones without bathrooms generally are from 120 to 200 square feet. And
Hmm.
our pricing is very much turnkey and all encompassing so that you really don't need to, it doesn't get added on other than just hooking up the utilities and permits. So basically our smaller ones are from 40 to 49,000. Those are your offices, gyms, things like that. It's got the mini split unit, fully insulated. And then when you add a bathroom, that's anywhere from like 210 square feet up to 1,000 and beyond. We've had people like we've built one, done an outdoor deck connecting to the other one with like a rooftop. So the opportunities are endless. But with the bathrooms, you're really looking at 95,000 and then up to 250,000. From there, it's just kind of based on customizations.
Wow. The 1,000 square foot one sounds like a mansion for for a backyard.
Yes, literal thank you. I know some and it's funny because people even with our the offices or studios are like, oh my gosh, 200 square feet, sounds so small. And then they, come see one or we build it and they're like, oh my gosh, this is huge in my yard. So, and we really put thought and energy and time into designing these spaces so they don't feel small.
Hmm. Yeah. Cool. You are, I'm assuming in your 20s. You don't have to tell me your age, but I teach a class here in San Francisco of undergrads in advertising. So I'm curious what you think would be some advice you might give to graduates of a marketing or advertising program
Very cool.
today.
Appreciate the compliment. I'm in my 30s, but still, I will be honest.
Don't
I'll
look
be
it.
honest. Okay, so advice to some people in advertising. I would say don't be afraid to try it. I know initially we kind of really, really overthought even some of these ads that we were putting together and spent a ton of time. And then there'd be one that was just kind of a quick transition of me snapping in front of a pod before and after. And the one that took us like a month to make and whatever flopped and didn't even do well. And of course, the like quick one did well.
Yeah.
So it's like you can really think that, because same, I come from I have my Bachelor of Commerce degree focused in marketing and management. And, you have all of these ideas with what you learned, and it is helpful, definitely. But with Meta specifically, until you start putting it into there, that algorithm is deciding for you. And so just constantly kind of split testing and not overthinking and just trying. And it's okay because you can tell within, 2 weeks if it doesn't work. All right, turn that one off. Let's get another one going. Or this one now that maybe you did spend time and it worked well for a while, it's now fatigued. So turn that one off or pause it, do something else, and then keep going. So and I think I'm just a big believer with, people also fresh out of school and what do I want to do or where do I want to go with it? And it's like, you really don't know until you just start trying these different roles as well. And then you really kind of figure out, okay, love this or hate this. And you kind of go from there. I also have noticed like you can kind of get burnt out from one thing and then down the line, okay, that was good experience. I could step back into that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. There's a saying, perfect is the enemy of good, right? So get it out there, ship it, and see whether it's actually as bad as you thought.
That is an eloquent way of the long-winded thing I just said. So I love that. I'm going to take that. I'm going to use that one.
Well, I wouldn't say eloquent, shortened,
Sure.
maybe. Well, thank you. This has been super interesting and exciting and making me want to, look into buying a backyard pod for sure.
Love it.
Appreciate your time,
Of
Kelly.
course. No, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. Yeah, and I love that you saw us on LinkedIn. Keep track of us on Instagram too and Facebook, and we're always posting on there pods that we've done. So it's kind of fun to.
Yeah, yeah. Please share how people can find your site and any of your socials.
Yeah. So Instagram it's backyard_pod. So it's POD. I believe our Facebook is Backyard Pod USA. So, but really looking us up, you'll find us. We're on YouTube too. That I will mention is another platform that is absolutely taking off. We've kind of
Awesome.
not put as much energy into TikTok lately, just with the unknown with it, but YouTube is taking off. So recommend like just shorts are an easy way. The same thing you post on Instagram, you can post that on YouTube and get some traction there.
Super. Well, thank you again for sharing these insights.
Awesome. I'm like, hopefully there's something in there that will resonate with somebody. But yeah, I love chatting. If anyone wants to reach out to me directly on LinkedIn too, under Kelly Kassian, feel free.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks again, Kelly.
Yes, it was nice meeting you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. And have a great time in Canada.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, have an awesome rest of your day and we'll chat soon.
Thanks, Kelly.
Bye.